Thank you, Steve, for your very generous presentation. Thank you, Laurel, for your words. And of course, my thanks to all the members of the board for this generous award. It's really an honor to have been introduced by Steve, a so brilliant and distinguished lawyer, whose important achievements include having been the first Hispanic American to become president of the ABA. When I received your letter, Steve, some months ago at the beginning of the year, in which you congratulated me for having been selected for this award, I was really surprised. To be frank, for a while, I even thought that it could be a mistake, because I was not aware of the fact that my name had been proposed or considered for this important award. Who proposed me is still a mystery, but in any case, I'm really honored for this consideration, and I'm really very glad and very happy to be here with my family as well. In any case, I want to express really my deep appreciation for having been honored with this 2013 Rule of Law Award by the American Bar Association, Rule of Law Initiative. This is a very high honor for me and a very exciting occasion for several reasons, but I will mention especially two. First, because the award comes from the ABA, a very prestigious and important organization in the world, and particularly in the Americas, a very relevant symbol of rule of law and of commitment with democratic principles and human rights. Secondly, especially for adding my name this year to the extraordinary list of very distinguished and admirable persons who have dedicated their lives to these same values and principles that have previously received this award. Some of those have been just mentioned by Steve. Dear friends, while during my career I have been lucky to serve in a number of organizations in different parts of the world, I am a Latin American, and in the last years I have been especially committed to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which in many aspects is at this stage mainly Latin American. Let me share very briefly with you some views about the current situation of rule of law in Latin America. In comparison with what was the scenario 15 or 20 years ago, today, Latin American countries have a much more democratic and promising situation regarding human rights and rule of law. For instance, electoral democracies and progresses in democratic practices. Second, no massive nor systematic human rights violations anymore. Third, decrease of internal armed conflicts to only one, at present the case of Colombia, which is in a negotiation process to finish, we hope all, this war in the following months. Economically, more than 80% of growth in the last 10 years, 30% reduction of poverty, and over 30% growth of the middle class. That's an overall panorama of the new Latin America that we are living in the last 10 years. In this context, a crucial component is and has been the legal profession, international law, and international human rights standards. For this purpose, specifically the rulings of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights have turned to be crucial. Today, in Latin America, there is much more awareness than ever about obligations and rights of individuals and peoples, and of the connection between national law and international law. Right now, in most countries in Latin America, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, when national judges have to deal with human rights matters, they increasingly use and apply the standards of international law, and especially the jurisprudence of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. With founded optimism, we may say that a real democratic, cultural, and juridical revolution is taking place in Latin America. But we need to continue to push forward in our progresses, especially in the Americas, area in which we do share between Latin America and the United States democratic values that nevertheless have not always been part of a systematic dialogue nor of common strategies. We have constructed in the Americas a very intense and positive relation in areas of trade and investment. Unfortunately, it still remains to be done much in what refers to a major dialogue and closeness in much more specific matters in human rights, and particularly with countries of the Americas, with the strengthening of the tribunal created by the countries of the Americas, which is the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. I do interpret, dear friends, Steve, members of the board, this award not only as a perhaps unmerited honor to myself, but especially as a very vibrant signal coming from the ABA, so to work more systematically to strengthen the dialogue here in the United States with the international system of human rights, and particularly with the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. We would look forward, for instance, to hold here in the United States public hearings of the Inter-American Court, as it has been the case in almost all of the Latin American countries. Upcoming meetings or hearings include Mexico in the month of October, Brazil in the month of November. In that sense, we really would look forward to work together with the ABA, in this case, necessarily to involve the US government, so that this court, which at this stage is mainly Latin American, can be better known by the American public, and especially by the American lawyers and judges. We have nothing to teach, just an experience to share from a continent which has and is rising after a past of violence, of systematic human rights violation, but is looking forward for a future of peace, democracy, and development. This award is very generous for me, but I interpreted this as a symbol of the closeness between the ABA and these efforts and hopes from Latin America for peace, democracy, and human rights. Thank you for all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Your Honor, your words and your life are an inspiration to all of us. You honor us by accepting this award. We are behind you and support your efforts, and you should know that we will always be there for you. Thank you again for being here with us.